this is Dave with MTB Discount. Today on our Bronson build we're going to be mounting up our front and rear brakes. We're using X0 Avid brake system. Going to be using a 180 rotor front and a 160 rear. Our choice on the rotors is going to be the Avid HSX heat shedding rotor. It's more of a cross-country trail rotor, a little lighter weight. If you're going to be doing more downhill or more aggressive riding, we recommend going to the HS1 heat shedding rotor. So first off, you're going to need the rotor. Of course, it comes with the hardware to mount it, which uses a T25 Torx. So you're going to need that, of course, and you're going to need a torque wrench, so you can actually set it up to about 6.2 Newton meters on the rotor itself. You're going to need the mounting bracket, depending on what size you're going with, and of course the CPS hardware. So, along with the stuff that's included in the mounting kit. So first up, we're going to mount the rotor using the T25 to the wheel, and again, my handy dandy 5-gallon bucket again allows me to kind of get this rolling. A little easier to do with without having to try and juggle anything and damage your spokes. So again, going to thread them all in there kind of finger tight. I always like starting with my hand to make sure that you don't cross thread anything. And these all come pre-Loctited. Have thread locker actually on the screws themselves already, so you don't have to worry about it. Not sure if you can quite catch that, but again, they have a little thread locker on them. So once you actually install them once, you're going to need to re-thread lock the screws again. And then once they're all kind of started by hand, we make sure that they're not cross-threaded. We'll use our T25 to start putting them in. We'll get them kind of snug down there. Just until they make contact. And again, I'm going in a star pattern here, similar to what we did on our stem on the bars, just to make sure that you don't cause any warpage and you get them tight correctly. And speaking of these, you want to make sure if you've got a multi-tool in your kit you're carrying in your pack, you want to actually make sure it's got the T25, because the Torx is being used more and more throughout the bikes. You'll see it all over your brake system, some of the seat posts. If you don't have it, you'll definitely want to add it to your kit. You can buy individual ones, or you can buy a new multi-tool kit with the T25s in there, and now even the T10s. So, okay, now we've got them all snugged up. We can use our torque wrench, and it'll specify the torque on the outside of the rotor generally. This one here is 6.2 Newton meters. We've got our torque wrench set to that with the T25 bit. And again, kind of go down in a star pattern. You don't necessarily need to get it to click the first time, but you want to make sure that it's getting snugged up evenly. And once you go all the way around, go around again, because again, sometimes it'll if there was a little gap there, you'll close that up, make sure that it seats properly. Okay, well, we've got that done. The next step is to put this up on the bike, and then we'll mount up our disc brake caliper and handle. So we're good to go there. Catch up with you in a second. Alright, now that we've got the wheel mounted up with our rotor, we're going to mount up the lever and calipers. So we're doing our front, so we're going to bring it across here. We've got the bracket on here. So we're going to slide it on nice and loose onto our bar so we don't damage it. And we're going to route the front brake is going to go down the front here. It's going to actually have a mounting bracket on the fork to hold the cable out of the way. And then we're going to come around to this side here. Hopefully you can see it. and we're going to use our mounting bracket so it spaces it out properly, and it's got a nice little arrow on there to tell you which way is up. So we're going to mount that up along with the caliper, our CPS hardware, and the bolt. So again, it's a little fun little exercise in how coordinated you are to be able to get all the pieces together. So again, you've got your bolt, your CPS with the washer, your CPS hardware. You go CPS hardware here again, and then through your mounting bracket, or your adapter bracket, I should say. And with this, since we've already got it mounted up with the rotor, we're going to go ahead and pull the spacer out that keeps your pad spaced properly. And we'll just do this finger tight. Make sure we get it over the top. And then now we're going to mount up our lower with the CPS hardware and bolt. And again, if you've got any questions on how the CPS hardware goes, you've got a small set of dished out washers here. The flat surface here is going to mate against the flat surface here. And what this does is it allows the bracket to center over your rotor. Makes a nice, quick, easy adjustment for centering. So again, we'll get this started here. Make sure we're over the top of our rotor so we don't damage that. And again, start the threads gently. And these basically, since they're allowing the brake to center, you're going to want to just get them to where they're tight, and allowing the caliper to still slide side to side, because that's what's going to allow you to center it when we actually do the adjustment. And since the CPS hardware is no longer included with most of the mounting brackets or the kits, you're going to want to make sure you order that separately. So now that we've got that on there, we're going to go back up here. We're going to actually just snug down our mounting bracket just a little bit. I'm sorry, with the T25, which they're all black, so it makes it fun. And just so there's no slippage, don't go too tight, especially with the carbon bars. Normally you'd snug them down to about 4 to 5 Newton meters, just as tight as it needs to be. And then we're going to need to mount the small little bracket that comes with your fork using a 2.5 millimeter wrench. And we're just going to mount this like so. Here, if you can see it. And again, we're going to start this loosely. And this is a little tougher because it's in a recessed hole. Now that we've got that on there, we make sure we've got enough length here, and we're going to actually have to shorten this cable down a bit when we get finished with the install. Take out some of that slack. We'll have another little episode on that. So now that we've got the hose mounted and snugged up a bit, we're going to center the caliper on the rotor. So we just give it a little bit of a spin, snug it down a bit, make sure there's still some play in the rotor. I like to just do it a few times, get it to snug down. Hold the brake lever, and then snug it down with your wrench. And again, you don't need to over tighten it. You want it to be snug. I'm saying somewhere around probably 6 Newton meters or so, 5 Newton meters, just enough so that it doesn't flex. And there you go, squeak free, no rubbing, good to go. Tune in next time. We'll finish up the brakes, we'll do the rear, and then we'll jump into the drivetrain, the rest of the drivetrain with the derailleurs and the shifters. Thanks.